Well, thank you so much. It's like everything start and finish. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you
Absolutely.
for give me this opportunity and the time. Just understand like you're somebody that I look up to, not only as a friend but as a mentor, as a leader as well,
Thank you. I
and
appreciate that.
somebody that I always look up for that have the best interest in your heart for me.
Thank
So
you.
I
I
appreciate
appreciate
it.
that. Well, thank you for having me, man. I'm genuinely excited to be here, and it's really cool to see all the stuff you're doing, man.
Yeah,
I'm
man,
proud of you.
I'm
It's
excited.
it's it's really fun to watch this watch the progression. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think we have something pretty good on cooking,
Yeah,
right? And just man, that's what we're here for. It just we're trying to give more, serve more people, and just bring it out there. Which is part of the topic we're gonna be talking about
yeah.
today is
I'm
basically
excited.
faith and leadership, right?
Yeah,
And what are those that means, and what's the important role that we as a man are basically created for,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely. So I'll preface this by saying I'm not an expert. I've just lived a lot, and I've seen a lot of great leaders, and I've been around a lot of great leaders. So I'm looking forward to some of these questions and seeing if I can give some insight to your viewers and see if that'll help them understand how we view leadership as a group and
Correct.
want them to be led by us. So I'm looking
Correct.
forward to it, man.
And that's one of our missions, right?
Yeah,
As a company, Rise to Teleperformance, this is what we do. I mean, we just seek the best interest in our clients, not for
absolutely,
ourselves. So,
absolutely.
can you give me a little bit, more about our mission as a as a company first,
Absolutely.
and then personally and professionally.
Absolutely. So the core values that Rise have, the main two, we have four, but the main two are transparency and integrity, right? So basically, what that means is that we value ourselves as educators from a transparency standpoint. So our job is to educate the person, which means we will never not tell somebody why we're doing something, and we will always do what's best for our client, not what's best for the company, right? So in this type of field, and in most of the fields that you see in capitalism, everything is driven by repeat customer business, right? So you get medicine so that you stay on the medicine for the rest of your life. You get certain programs that'll work too fast, and then when it's over, the weight comes back. Things like that. What we want to do is create sustainable habits and sustainable change over a longer period of time while we educate you why we do what we do. That way, you have the education to repeat it, and you don't need us or anybody else. That's why we told ourselves as the last program you will ever need to do. Like, if you want to hang out with us, cool. A lot of people want to stay a
Yeah,
part of the
for
community
sure.
because it's a big thing. But our goal is to say, hey, here is this invaluable skill set that we've acquired over the last decade with all of the coaches, all of the nurses, all of the partnerships with the hormone clinics, all of the case study files that we've done. Here it is for you. Here is what we are going to be doing. Here's why we're going to be doing this. And this is what the yield result of that should be, because our mission is to add value to people's lives.
Correct.
Money is a byproduct
It
of
is.
doing the right thing. And the leadership group as a whole, we have this saying, and it came from, I don't want to say it came from Lloyd, but it's something Lloyd touts very often. It's heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah.
And basically, what that means is if you value yourself as a leader, and some people are like have God given abilities to be that thing, it is your job to add value to every single person that you meet, not just the people you like. So the leadership team has adopted that and a love of people. So our job is to wear the crown, no matter how heavy it gets. We keep our chins up and make sure that we just add value everywhere.
I love
So
that.
from a company standpoint, that is the mission. Change lives, change as many lives as possible, and then add value to all of them while we educate.
Right, and this is why it's the last program, right? The
Yep,
last
last
program,
program.
because we are not just focused just to rest, to give just a quick brief. It's not about the results. It's the person that you're gonna become. At the
Yep,
same time, we're gonna teach you for you to keep being that person even when you are not with us.
I agree.
So just educating, just from point A to point B. Like that's why we are coaches. We are not trainers. We are coaches.
Yes.
We are like a vehicle, right? That we drive you through the whole process in order for you to get there successfully.
Yeah, and that's a good call out. There's a very big difference between a trainer and a coach. A trainer will biomechanically show you how to do a process or an exercise.
Correct.
They're great with program design and all those things, but it's more set up on biomechanics. For us, a coach, their job is to understand you and know you from as high a level as they possibly can, and then to pull talent out of you.
Correct.
That's what it is. It's more support, community, talent. Is there expertise? Absolutely. We've got a bunch of expertise, but we utilize that to build a relationship with you and teach you the things that you need to know, and then also kind of give you a swift kick when
Yeah,
you need to
when
get
it's
going.
needed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Well, the main thing, and I love this part is that we focus on alignment,
yes,
right? And just spirit,
yeah,
mind, and body. Because
absolutely.
we cannot bring the body just one way and the mind to be somewhere. That's why we work in habits. That's why we are so personal with our clients,
Mm-hmm.
because we do have a genuine care for
Yes,
them, and that's why we have the results that we have,
one hundred
right?
percent.
Just because we have the best interests, right?
Absolutely. You gotta love the person. And whenever you coach somebody, you coach the entire person.
Correct.
It's not as simple as, okay, I'm going to coach the person that wants to lose 15 pounds. It's like, no, I'm going to coach the person that may be going through divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to coach the person that may not get enough time with their kids. I'm going to coach the man who's struggling with balancing. Okay, I need to be a provider. I need to be a spiritual leader, and I also need to be healthy. Like all of those balances need to happen, and we as coaches, we take on all of that. It's
100%.
like, okay, do I want you to be healthy? Of course I do. Are we going to look at your biomarkers? Of course we are. Are we going to teach you about that? Yes. Am I going to make sure that you're eating the right foods? Of course I'm going to make sure you're eating the right foods. That's a key to success. But on the back end of it, hey, what are you doing for yourself?
Yeah, it's way more than that.
Are you living in a state of gratitude? Are we personally developing so that our skill set, not only from like a personal development standpoint, from like financial or business or leadership or whatever those things are, getting better, but on a spiritual background, like, hey, like are we being a good spiritual leader in the household? Are we doing all of the things that are necessary to live an abundant life across all phases of life? And that's something that we love to dive into, because when you can change that, the rest of everything
Everything
changes
changes pretty
pretty
fast. Yeah,
easily, right?
100%.
So that's a big point of difference, and I'm glad you brought it up. But that's again, to sum it all up, those are the reasons that Rise is very, very different than everybody. It's not going to be this quick weight loss thing. Will you lose weight? Yes. It's
Yeah, it's
not.
gonna be bad for other things. Like,
Yeah,
it's just alignment. Once you align yourself, you become your best version, regardless, in all directions. And that's why. But you mentioned something very particular, which is basically the main topic that we want to talk about, and it's being a spiritual leader,
oh yeah,
right? So that goes together hand in hand with the topic that we want to talk about today, is the faith and leadership.
yeah.
So just give me your opinion. What's the relationship between? I mean, what are we here for?
Ooh,
What is a relationship?
man. So that's a very in-depth question. So the relationship between leadership and being a person of faith, in my opinion, is you can't be as good of a leader as you think you are unless you have some foundational faith that you're being led, just in general, right? So
100%.
for me, and again, I'll do my best as we go through this to point at myself, so it's not some broad statement. I feel that I am a better leader when I understand that I'm being led to do the thing that I was put here to do. So I think that there's three main things that you look at when you find your purpose. And I'm sure that people that are listening to this have heard this before or have heard of an iteration of this. But everything that you have that you're good at is not yours. It's a gift. It was a gift from somebody else. Okay, for me, that gift was from Jesus. Got it, right? I'm not going to preach on that, but I'm just saying those are
That's
my
your
beliefs,
beliefs.
right?
Correct.
The second thing is, what am I passionate about? That's something that's kind of developed, but it's directed, right? And then the third thing is life experiences, where you take the gifts that God gave you, the passions that you acquire, and combine those with the life experiences that allow you to have an education on certain things. That's where you find your purpose. So you can do a lot of things and be good at a lot of things, but you're not going to be as good unless you are allowing yourself to be led in the direction in which you were created to be. Right? So for me, I've always been great at talking to people. I've always been great in sales and all those other things, and I've always been miserable in those spaces. I cannot stand a sales job. I'm just really good at it. But while I was doing that, God looked at me and he said, hey, you're using the things I gave you, but you're not using them for what I gave you for. That's not the thing. And because of that, there were some instances where he humbled me quite harshly and made me sit by myself and go, okay, what am I learning here? And you get back up and you start trying again and you think you're doing it right. Things start to go awry again. It's like, come on, man. Like, am I not doing what you want me to do? And the answer was no. And then you finally get to a point where it's like, okay, all of these things you showed me from, for me, it was from age 13 to 31. It's like, this is your life experience. This is how you conducted yourself. These were the things, and this was your perception of life. And I humbled you. I put you down to rock bottom. I found rock bottom's basement and I put you there too. What did you learn from that? And eventually you're able to look back and be like, okay, none of these things that I had, that I was really good at naturally, were mine. Because of that, and because the fact that I was using them for something that wasn't for God's purpose, I wasn't passionate about it, which led to my life experiences. And now I can say, okay, these are like, I'm passionate about helping people. Broad general statement, but that's what I'm passionate about. I have the ability to speak to people, to empathize and to connect. Okay, so here's these two things. Well, what life experiences do I have? Well, he showed me all of these things. Nobody else has seen these things. So now I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this, and the people that I'll be able to lead because I can empathize on a different level because I've lived those experiences, and I'm going to put them together, right? So as a leader, you have been being led the entire time. As soon as you realize that you've been being led to be the thing that you were supposed to be, then you can be a more effective leader. Any leader that thinks he's doing it all himself is wildly incorrect and isn't going to be as effective as he needs to be. Leadership is nothing more than influence and a love of people. If you love people, you understand what your passion and your purpose is, you'll be able to lead better and influence better because everything that you say is genuine.
It is.
You can't fake authenticity. It's not a real thing. You can fake it for a little while.
Yeah.
But you'll get caught.
You get caught up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
To kind of sum it all up, because I know I kind of rambled there a little bit. As a leader, it will always be important to understand, one, that you're being led by a supreme being that is much more powerful than you, and he does have you have a calling on your life. It's not you. And then as you continue to develop, you need to be around better leaders
100%.
to show you how to more effectively lead the people that you were in charge of.
I love that, man, and thank you so much for sharing. Like, I basically brought I brought something this morning. I was in the shower. I was like, okay, what are we talking about, right? And I'm in my conversation in the morning with God, and like, man, right? So it's funny because we mentioned a lot of things. You mentioned a lot of things that I wrote down this morning.
Yeah.
So we have that's kind of same concepts, similar concepts. It says, in my opinion, there is a fine relationship between being a leader, and faith. Specifically on the type of faith that we have, right? Because our faiths allow us to truly give ourselves to others.
Yes.
And that's what we do. That's why we're trying to help people so much, right? And to lead effectively, we must first embrace humility and the willingness to serve.
Yeah.
One important lesson that I have learned for sure is the power of listening.
Yes.
Okay? Power listening. Often we get caught up with everything going on in life, with distractions, even though we were talking about it yesterday, right? Like all the distractions. When I finally was able to actually turn that switch, and I said, like, okay, God, like, I know you're talking to me. I know this is the things that you want from me, but it was not until I actually start following it, then my life started changing.
Yes.
Like, I start finding that peace. Because now it feels like, okay, every step that I was taking, it was for self-interest. So now, like, I'm able to listen and just be patient and actually follow through. Like, after every decision that I battle myself, like, no, I don't know if I want to do that. Every time I start listening and actually do it, I feel peace. I feel myself in peace.
Yeah.
So I totally understand, like, okay, this is the right step. Like, you don't have to worry for anything else. I'm the one telling you.
Yep.
That you need to be doing these things.
Absolutely.
Which is hard, right? It's hard when create these massive things that we have created so far, right? And we have ego in ourselves. But that's the point. Being a leader, we, like you mentioned, we have to willing to give ourselves out to be led first in
Yes.
order for us to be leaders.
Yep.
And that's what we do in our space. Is just lead other people, and we're gonna have different levels of leadership, right? As
Absolutely.
we're learning on the five levels of
Yeah,
leadership,
absolutely.
right? We can have different levels, but but to this all this process, also eliminating distractions, or eliminating our biases, which was my biggest thing.
That's everybody.
Yeah, but
Everybody's vices are very different,
they're
but
different.
you and I, we had our own one vice. It was the one thing that was left for both of us. And God did the same thing to both of us. He's like, hey, I've been telling you for a long time
Yeah.
that that's not the right way, until he humbles you extremely hard.
Yeah,
And then you're like, okay, I'll listen.
yeah.
And because of that, as soon as you start to listen to him, things do turn around.
Yeah, it was funny that we actually, realized that our process started about the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It was like Christmas Eve 2023. Mine was like Christmas 2023.
Yep.
It's like, all right, we're going through these things together. Different spaces, right? Different journey.
Yeah.
But God knows, the path that we gotta go through, right? For specific reasons, right? Some people have it harder. But at the same time, it's just that your personal process.
Well, and I think that God puts people in your path so that you can learn from them, and it unconsciously gives you permission to go on your own journey, right? So when you watch me go through what I went through, because it started a little bit before you started your journey, like the realization that the journey needed to start was a day apart. But you had, I don't want to say the ability or whatever, you unfortunately were a victim to circumstance, and you had to watch me go through some things.
Correct.
But then you also were lucky enough to watch me like start to get back up, and you're like, okay. And I think God does stuff like that. It's like, hey, I'm going to put this person in your life, right?
Oh, he does,
You're going
for
to care
sure.
about that person, and you're gonna watch some transformation. And because you're watching that, I'm also going to make you internally look at yourself. And you guys are going to go through that transformation together. And then one day you guys are going to talk about it, which is pretty much what we're doing now. So like, I 100% agree with what you're saying. It is funny that we both started that journey literally a day apart, because mine was December 24th, 2023. You told me yesterday yours was December 25th when you had that breakdown. It's like, okay.
I will never forget.
Oh, absolutely not. Like when you're,
that switch is like, it's like you're awake. Like you woke up for the first time, you're like,
yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah, and I'll give you guys a little background just so you know.
It's about to get interesting,
Yeah,
guys.
2023 was the best financial and business growth year of mine and JP's life. It wasn't even close. By the end of 2023, you and I should have been celebrating life,
Correct.
right? It was by far what the world would tell you is the greatest thing ever. I made the most money I had ever made,
both
and
did.
it wasn't even close. Wasn't even close. The business had gone up by 270%. It was wild. We've got the leadership team together. Everybody's coming together. My marriage was doing great. Like all these things. We got the kids, and by the end of the year, you and I were both broken. Just broken. Right? So it goes to show you, like, there will always be a God-sized hole, and you can try to fill it with whatever you want to fill it with.
Yeah.
It will not be filled without him. And we're
100%.
prime examples.
100%. One of my things, and I agree with you, because that's what was basically what happened. But man, I felt a lot of emptiness.
Yeah.
I felt alone. I didn't feel I was enough. Like you told me, like, hey man, good job. Like, yeah, but that's not enough. Well, I'm looking for the next thing and the next thing, and the next thing. So I started changing my habits. Right after that, I was awoke. So like, man, I can do this by myself. And then start creating all these habits. So like, the first thing I gotta put God in my life. It's always being a believer, and that's it's part of my culture, right? But actually seeking for God, it was through the whole entire year after that. And then that's why I always call like 2024, it was basically a year to refine finding myself again. That's when I found myself. Like, okay, I'm becoming that JP that I knew it was there,
Yeah.
but this time it's completely filled. This time it's completely just renovated, 2.0. Let's say it that
Oh
way.
yeah.
Because I know I had God, right? So I used to just, like I mentioned before, lead to through all my vices, just trying to get fulfillment, trying to get some affirmation for everything outside. But when I actually start looking from the inside, that's when the real change started working out. Like when I started feeling fulfilled, when I started getting just actually trying to listen
Oh yeah.
instead of just I'm just gonna do, because we are doers and
Yeah.
we're go getters. So we also
Yeah.
like, hey, doesn't matter what happens, we're just gonna make it
Yeah.
happen. F that.
And we're control freaks.
Yeah, and we like to control.
Oh
And
yeah.
and that's okay. But now when we turn the page, it's like, guys, like, I really, all right, just watch.
Oh yeah.
Boom. Just back, you get hit back in the head, you fall down the ground. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter anymore.
Not even close. And I love I love what you're talking about, and it's something that I talk that when I speak to people, I sum it up like this, right? There's a difference between being a believer and having faith, right? And that's what you're talking about. And for both of us, like I knew God existed and I believed in Him, but I also believed in myself. I knew that I could make things happen, right? I didn't have faith that if I let go of the steering wheel, things would be okay.
Correct.
God had to prove Himself to me every month, which is no way to live because again, I'll just kind of back it up. Believing is knowing that something exists. Having faith is relinquishing control and letting yourself be led.
Correct.
Right? So at the end of December, it was like, I'm done. I don't want any of this. None of it. Like, you can take it all back. I sat down and I made a list, and you guys can do this sometime if you want to, and I think it's very valuable, especially if you're a high anxiety human and you're having any type of internal monologue that's a struggle, right? Write down all the things that you have on the left side of a piece of paper. All of them, like everything. I have a house, I have cars, I have a wife, I have kids, I have a job, I have this much money. Like, get granular with it. Then go over to this side and write down the things that you can't live without. Nothing on this left list will be there on this side. Almost nothing, right? And I did that. I sat down in December and was like, here's all the things I acquired this year. I have a house. I have 2 brand new cars. I have this much in my savings. I have this watch. I have this, and this. And then I went over to the right side. I'm like, what can I live without? Or what can I live without? And it was everything except for 2 things. 3 things.
Okay.
God, my wife, and my kids. At that moment, I was like, I could burn this house to the ground. And I don't care, because when you're faced with losing everything, you really find out what matters. So if you guys are trapped right now and you're not happy, or you don't know what's going on, or you're anxious, or you don't know what your next move is, or any of these things, make the move based on the thing that you can't live without. Right? Not based on some material thing that the world feels that you should have, right, or some false hope of happiness. The next thing's not going to make you happy. The other thing didn't make you happy, right? Like, it's, what does Alex Hormozy say? You've already accomplished goals you thought you said would make you happy, yeah, and now we're here and it's not. So go through that practice. Write down everything that you have in your life. Then on the other side, write down all the things that you can't live without. And I guarantee you there's not going to be many. And then you start fighting for those things. And that's where the difference between belief and faith is. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I believe God exists, but while I was believing that, I believed I needed, correct, all of this material stuff. Correct. When I had faith in God, I focused on my family, Him, and my kids. I know what I need to do at work, but I focused on those 3 things, and He provided. And He started stacking up proof of His existence and stacking up proof that I'm here to win. Now I don't worry. Yeah. Like, I get up every morning and I'm like, I know that since I'm aligned with what He wants me to do, I don't have to stress out. He will provide as long as I follow Him. And You know, it's a challenge for most men, and I'm sure it's a challenge for women too. But I can't speak on that part because I'm not one.
Right.
But I would challenge everybody that's listening to do that. Everything you have versus everything you can't live without. Focus on the things you can't live without, and have faith that God will provide and watch what happens.
Yeah, I'm into that, brother. I mean, if and I can relate with that so much. I mean, if you would have asked me on 2023,
Mm-hmm.
how will you feel just lose everything you already built? Like I remember looking at my bank account, be proud of. It's like I'm doing these things. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm the man, right? Because I'm chasing, right? But now, I mean, I'm about to put everything on basically on risk
Yeah.
and give you everything and be on zero. It's like, and I'm telling you, like, I don't mind if I had to lose the house, if I had to lose the car.
None of it.
I'm okay with that. You know what? Because I know God's gonna provide.
Oh yeah.
And in 2023, I could not say that. Like, man, what was that? One of the things like I was accumulating so much money is because I didn't have it before. So it's like, I need to keep it. I cannot give it away. I cannot be doing these things. When now the opposite. I mean, you saw my board. Is I just want to give.
Give it away.
I just want to, because I know God's gonna provide.
Yep.
And it is not silly, but it's actually a realization that when you actually start trusting, having the real faith,
Yep.
it just, guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter everything we have. I mean, what are we wearing? It's just, it doesn't matter anymore.
We thought when we bought the watches it would matter.
Yeah, like now it's like, oh, okay, I have a Rolex in my hand. Cool.
Yep.
But
I thought the same thing. I was like, this is the thing. It'll make me happy. And then I bought it and I put it in my safe. I was like,
yeah.
well, that was foolish.
Same thing about the truck. Like, man, I have a really nice truck.
Yep.
Like, hello, and then I'm just driving. It's like, sometimes I look at it, it's like, oh, this is actually really cool. Like
Yep.
after a while, it's like, oh, this is actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But you forget about things.
Yeah,
It's just like quick excitement and quick hit of dopamine. But what actually being fulfillment is just the path. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
the process.
100%.
It's just my daily habits, like my connection with God. Like those are the things that actually fulfilled me.
Yep.
That's what actually made me happy. Like people ask me, like, okay, why you wake up so early in the morning? It's like, man, for me waking up in the morning, first of all, it's a challenge.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
hard, right? Nobody want to wake up in the morning. But for me, it's like, okay, I wake up first thing in the morning, and I just want to. If you want to talk about it like more nowadays, it's like be on Wi-Fi. Not a lot of people is gonna be connected to my Wi-Fi. I have better reception. I don't have that many distractions going on. People texting me and whatnot. Like I want to have my time with God, because normally what we normally do is just grab my phone. It's like, okay, I have 20 messages from my clients. I have this. I have that. Like no, anybody's gonna be awake. I have my time with God. I have my time to go do my 3 daily wins of the day. And man, after that, like I put into myself, because for self-love, right?
Mm-hmm.
I align myself, same thing what we do with our clients. Align ourselves with the best version, which is God, right? Spiritual, intellectual, and physical. And then man, I'm ready to put out because I fill up my cup first.
That's what I agree with you 100%. That's what you should be doing. So with that, right? Because again, I want to make sure that the viewers of this grab what they need to grab. If you could name 3 things that everybody could do that would immediately help them be a better version of themselves, what would your top 3 be?
Oof.
Just 3, right off the top of your head.
I would find people. I would find people that are really leaders.
Yep.
That have that type of faith that you're looking for.
Yep.
Right? Because sometimes we think we know everything, but no. Right? We get
That's one.
that's
What's number
one.
2?
Number 2, start seeking for God. Yes, man.
Perfect.
You don't know how to pray, that's fine. Just, hey God, I'm here. I don't know how to do this thing.
Yep.
Talk to me. And third thing is I would say don't stop seeking. Just every day.
So yours is very God-centric.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Everything you sleep through that. in
That's
my
perfect.
opinion.
I like it. So recap it. Find other leaders that,
Find other leaders.
that are a little bit more advanced than you. Develop a relationship with God, and then seek God. Perfect.
How about yourself? What are 3 things that you can say?
Man. Spirituality is a very hard thing for some people. So I'll do my best to go from a different lens. But for me personally, the first, like the top three things that I think you can do to be a better person is, and again, I'll do my best to stay on the opposite end of you. One is plan your day, right? The night before, plan what you're going to do the next day. And within that plan, you need to have the first 10% of your day to yourself to align yourself and get things going. If that is dropping to your knees and praying, that's great. If it's doing meditation, that's great. But number one key to being successful, make sure you have a plan the day before, and then the next day you work your plan. The second thing that I think will make you a hyper successful human being is never stop developing, right? So in your daily plan, part of it needs to be to get better. The people who aren't growing are dying. So you need to make sure that you're developing in some aspect of your life every single day. And then the third thing is literally just stay focused. Okay? As you're working your plan, and again, this is more of a business thing to be successful. As you're working your plan, you have to stay focused on the plan. What is that saying? A focused fool
Can accomplish more
than a distracted
a distractor
genius.
genius.
Yeah. So a focused fool can do more than a distracted genius. So I think those are the three things that'll make you the most successful. One, plan your day. Two, make sure that as you planned your day, you've got 10% in there to focus on yourself. And then three, make sure that you stay focused on doing the things that you're supposed to do.
I love that, brother. Thank you for sharing that. And I think all of those goes. I just read part of the book of five levels of leadership this morning, and something like it is very true that we can apply in all areas in our life. That is, it's very hard to build,
Yes.
but it's very easy to break.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we need to, stay focused. We need to plan our day. We need to actually doing the things that we say we're gonna be doing.
Yes.
So we need to put ourselves first in order for us to to accomplish the other things.
I agree, man.
So it is so hard to build, man.
It is, and
Like,
it's very easy to have everything get destroyed
Yeah,
quite quickly, especially if the foundation's not set right. So
correct. And I mean, we can go. I mean, we can even tell our clients. Sometimes we want something quick, a quick change, but it's gonna take time.
100%.
It's gonna take time.
What's our next question? What you got?
Man, all right. So I know we already talked about this. So, why it is important for a leader to be willing to be led.
The understanding that you don't know everything is very freeing, right? So the fact, like, if you have the understanding that, and again, it comes back to that personal development, right? If you think you know everything, you can't fill a cup that's full, right? Which means you're always going to be the limiting factor in your company, right? So if you look at that question, why is it important for a leader to be willing to be led? Because if you do not allow yourself to be led, you will become the bottleneck in everybody else's success. So, like for me right now, if we have 43 coaches and we have all these systems and we have all these clients, if I don't improve, the level that you guys will succeed to will be limited by the amount of knowledge and skill that I have. Same thing with Lloyd. If he doesn't continue to develop, he will not see the next step coming and we won't be able to advance to it. So as a leader, you need to make sure that you are always striving to go to the next level. And the best way to strive to go to the next level is someone at that level to teach you how to get there.
Correct.
Right? So that's why it's important. If you are not willing to be led, as a leader, it is your responsibility for everybody below you to succeed.
100%.
If you're not willing to be led, you're not going to be doing them a service because they can't advance as far.
100%. 100%. Well, from that one, we're gonna go to your to your third point, which is stay focused. So, how do you handle distractions in your life, and what strategies do you have found effective in maintaining focus on your leadership goals?
Gotcha. So, I use a specific system for this because unfortunately, right? Well, I guess fortunately and unfortunately, right? Life makes perfect sense when you play it in reverse. Hindsight's 20/20, right? You can look back and you be like, man, I get it. I understand why that happened, but unfortunately you have to live it forward. So you don't actually know what's going to happen, but you can look back. So what I do is I just recap. I say, okay, here's all the things that I needed to get done today, this week, this month. Did I accomplish them? And if I didn't, I go back and I replay. I'm like, okay, well, why didn't I get the results that I wanted to get? And it's a simple system, and it's 4 points in it. So the first one, if I do not get the yield result that I thought was going to happen, the first step in that is analyze. Right? I have to sit back and analyze everything. Like, okay, what was I doing? What did my day look like? Where were my plans? Where did I lose time? What was going on? Okay, so now I have all the data. The second thing is I need to seek to understand. It's like, okay, here's the data. Where's the gap? Like, where did I lose? And once I understand where the gaps were, then I need to actively listen, which means I need to go outside of myself to find somebody who's better than me to teach me how to not do that thing again. Right? So first step is evaluate. Second one is seek to understand. Third is actively listen. And then once I get those three done, then I make a new plan to circumvent some of the tendencies that I have. And that eliminates the distractions pretty quickly. So if one of my distractions is my phone, because as soon as I grab it to answer a text message or to send somebody a message, if I send the message and I notice myself clicking over to check Instagram, to check Facebook, or to check TikTok, or whatever the thing is, I now know if I analyze that scenario that where my habits lie is to switch over and I'm burning time that way. Yeah. So, easy thing to do. I sat next to you one day and I heard your laptop dinging. Like, what is that? Like, I have my phone linked to my Mac. Like, oh, cool, you can do that? Yeah, that's how you do it. Okay, cool. So that means you don't have to touch your phone. Yeah. Correct. So guess what I do now? Since I actively listened to you and I knew that I had the issue, I can put my phone to the side. It's linked to my Mac. I'm not typing in www.facebook.com. No, right? I'm not typing in Instagram.com, but I'm not touching my phone. And it makes me more efficient. When I go sit down with Dustin Lundy, I notice, hey, sometimes there's a timer. Or if you look at Alex Hormozy, there's a timer. It's like, okay, he gives himself 40 minutes to do a task. Puts everything else away. Here's the 40 minutes. And he works for 40 minutes and then he'll get up and walk for 20. So it's literally just having an understanding of where you're losing the time, analyzing that data, talking to somebody that can help you solve the problem, because the tendency is you will listen to somebody else more than you'll listen to yourself, or at least you'll get a better answer. And then you just plan and you execute. I like that. Right. So that's the system. Those are the steps. Anybody can do that stuff. Awesome. So that's a good takeaway for everybody.
I love that. And the last questions before we head out, can you share a moment when you have to listen to feedback that was very difficult for you to hear, and how did that experience impact on your growth as a leader?
So I'll do this in two, okay? Because I'll do one on a personal level, and then I'll do one from a business level. So from a business standpoint, let me preface this, and this is for everybody. Feedback is a blessing. Whether you like it or not, it will tell you everything that you need to know about the person or the scenario and give you the opportunity to change in one regard or another. So, key point, feedback is a blessing. And some of it I didn't like, but it's still a blessing because it leads me to where I am now. So, in 2022, I was working at Safelite, and I just got awarded top performer in the world. Right? So they have this thing called a Safelite Spirit Award. They hand out like 100 for 16,000 people in the country, in the U.S. I won one of those, and somebody that worked for me won one, which is great. But then they have something else called a BEPA Award, which is a Bell Run Exceptional Person Award. And that's for business acumen and then philanthropy, basically. Okay. Right? They give out 16 of those out of 40 countries and 27,000 employees. Oh, wow. I won one. But then the person that worked for me won one too. Didn't happen anywhere else. Right? So I was like, all right, cool. Like, I did something. This is it, I'm fulfilling my purpose, doing everything. I had a new boss come in, and we did not see eye to eye. Half because he sucked. I mean, just call it what it is. Carvel, sorry about your luck. I hope you see this. But the other part is I have an issue with authority, right? And just plain and simple. So he comes in, and some of his first conversations are, doesn't want me there. I just won top performer. So I started seeking out other employment, and I came back to him and I said, hey, here's an offer I got. I don't even want you guys to match it. Like, just bring me up $5,000 on my current salary. I'll stay. I'll do everything. And he just looked at me. He's like, I don't think you're worth a dime more. As he was hiring in other people at a higher dollar amount than me when I was just the top performer in the world. So that type of feedback, even though it's not what I would perceive to be positive, like, oh, okay. And that gave me the motivation to be like, I will show you exactly who I am. Right. So that was a time where I got some feedback. I didn't necessarily like it, and I could have let it be soul crushing. Instead, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to show you exactly who I am. I will go and I will get a higher paying position than one that you could offer me. I will outperform everybody in that space too. And, I'll go and I'll live my own life. And that's exactly what I did. I got recruited out to another company. They paid me $20,000 more a year than what he would have ever offered me. Within 2 months, I was the top performer there. And it ended up putting me in a position to come to Rise anyway, which was great because I started coaching at Rise at the same time I started that other job, because I was so highly motivated by somebody telling me what my worth was that I don't think I'll ever reach that level of motivation again. I was like, I will show you exactly who I am, right? So that's from a business standpoint. From a personal standpoint, I've received some feedback that from family members and other people that I'm hard to be around. Abrasive, or I'm a very direct human being. So with that type of feedback, you can either point the finger at other people, or you can look at yourself and point inward and say, okay, what portion of this can I be accountable for? And I think that that's an important thing whenever you look at either side of feedback. You will always have at least 5% of, I don't want to say the blame, but 5% that you need to own and make adjustments for, right? So with Carvel and Safelite and those guys, there was a certain amount of it that I needed to own and just be like, okay, I understand your lens. I understand where you're coming from. I completely disagree with you, and I will go show you, but I'm not going to argue with you about it. With my family, I completely agree with them, and I need to make some changes that are subtle to myself, but I'm not going to change who I am, right? So I think, and again, feedback is a blessing in either way, as long as you can internalize it without being emotional. Feedback is just feedback. It's just data. It is your job as a man or a woman to take that feedback, understand how much of it you want to believe, but always understand that the person's lens is going to be different than yours, and that 5% of it belongs to you, or at least 5%. Fix the part that's yours. Understand the rest. Make your decision on whether you want to believe it, and then act accordingly moving forward.
Awesome. And how that helped other situation helping you out to be as a leader or to grow as a leader?
So to grow as a leader, understanding that feedback will always benefit me in some facet or another. The feedback from Carvel benefited me because it made me go establish my worth. It made me want to be a better leader. It made me venture out to go and actively get better as a human being. So that it's beneficial in that sense, right? So from a leadership standpoint, like I said, you're always needing to grow. The more feedback you get, whether it is positive or negative, the more that you can self-analyze certain situations so that you know which areas you need to grow in. Same thing with Rise. I'm not the softest person when I speak. I think I am, but based on the feedback, I am not. So what Lloyd does with me, he's like, hey, I hear you. Do you hear this as well? And offers a different perspective so that I can be led, right? So you should be open to feedback always. Feedback will always make you a better leader, a better person, as long as you don't get emotional about it and you don't attach your identity to whatever that feedback is. You just have to kind of sift through it.
So we need to listen.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
and be humble about it. I mean, be able to be, full of humility,
Yeah.
go through it.
So I mean, you do it. What's some feedback that you got that that hurt a little bit, but then led you to be a better person?
Man, I mean, we can go different directions right here.
Mm-hmm.
But the main thing is just being more intentional and intentional with everything I do. I mean, I got even feedback from you, like things that I should be doing that I have done better before, and now that I need to be applying it. Um, and that just, I mean, we saw the increase just at the beginning of the year. It just, always be willing
Yeah.
to change, be willing to, okay, take directions and
Mhm.
follow.
Do you remember an exact sentence or an exact conversation where someone gave you feedback that you were just like, ouch?
Yes, and I can picture in my mind. At that time, I mean, I was in the same spot basically with your first example. So I was trying to play baseball,
Mhm.
right? And I went through this program because there were some scouts there, and the coach saw me and said like, "Hey, you will never play baseball. Like, you're not good enough." I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay." And then I was like, same thing. It's like, no. I mean, I cried my eyes out, but I'm practicing, like, oh, I'm going to show him, right? And then, well, that led me to, come here to the States, pay for everything. It's a scholarship. I didn't play professional baseball, but I was capable to go through where actually God had me on hand for me. So I think that type of feedback is that personal one.
Mhm.
That's like, I hear you, but I don't.
But the yield result was
But
positive.
your result was positive for
Gotcha.
sure.
What about from a business standpoint?
Business standpoint,
Because I know you and Lloyd have been around each other for 8, 10 years, something like that.
yeah,
I'm sure you've received some feedback from him that's that wasn't nice.
yeah.
But
Man,
it was all meant to make you grow because and the reason I bring Lloyd up is because Lloyd's a phenomenal leader.
it is, it
Right. So when we're
is, it
talking about
is.
leadership, we would be remiss to not bring him up because he's done a lot of work with both of us
Yeah,
where it's like, hey, here's the feedback, but he gives feedback wanting a specific result, which is why he gives it.
yeah. I mean, I can go. I mean, different. So many feedbacks through the whole years. I mean, Lloyd for me is like it's more than a friend and a business partner. It's more like a dad
Yeah.
to me. And I know we talked about this before, but man, one of the feedback that actually hurt me, like I was genuinely hurt. Like we went to a show. We went to a show in Orlando, and then I want to do my own thing. Like we were there. We have a bunch of the clients. My clients were not competing anymore. They were done with stage. But he's the one. He's the one. Like no, we gotta stay out until the end, right? And I get it. But I went out, do my stuff. Like okay, let me go to the mall. I'm in Orlando. I want to buy some stuff here and there. And then when he come back, like I can feel his energy.
Mm.
He was just like pissed, and I never seen him this pissed with me. I'm like, so what's going on? So he finally let it go out, and then like it's like, man, I wanna dig a hole. I wanna just jump in on it, throw my dirt in the cup. Like, please, nobody get me out of here. But the main thing was like, we are there to serve, to help other people, and we cannot leave anybody behind. And until nobody is on stage, outside the stage, or be done with stage time, then we need to stay until the end. Which is something. It's
Leadership.
it's just leadership,
It's
right?
just
It's
leadership.
like my people was done. Like, no. I understand your people were done, but our people were not done. So it's something basic in man, and like you can say like, oh, it's a minor thing, but it's not. Like it got me to the heart. So, from day on, it's been years. I'm like, nope,
And
guys,
hey,
I'm
look,
starving. I don't care. I'm
and,
staying here.
and just so everybody knows, that is good leadership. And Lloyd, I guarantee you, he didn't cuss him out or do anything like that. It's, I don't know, you guys are close. He might have. I've never seen him do that.
No.
But everything that is ever said from a feedback standpoint should be to develop you as a better leader. Same thing with the call that we had. It was like, hey, this is an unsolicited call. You did not ask me to do this. I track numbers every single month. This is where you're at. This is where you should be. This is the expectation that I have of you because I love you. This is what it should look like.
Correct.
I'm going to be checking. We're going to be working. Like, let's go. Right? So feedback, again, it's a blessing. Sometimes like, man, I really don't want to talk to this person. I don't care what you think right now. I've got my own stuff going on, so on and so on.
But this is where
But
you're going.
every comment, if you are a leader and you are providing feedback, your feedback should not be to belittle the person. Your feedback should be to get the response out of the person that is necessary to make them a better leader. That is it. That is what feedback is for. Feedback is utilized to create a positive result. If you cannot deliver feedback in that manner or is not structured in the manner to create that thing, it's not feedback, it's you complaining. Write that down.
I like it. I like it. I mean, I think that's I think that was great topic for today. I think we can just leave it there. It was great, man. Great having you. I look forward to have you more often here, you and Lloyd, so we can have the three of us.
Oh yeah,
over here
yeah.
and just give you some feedback for you guys.
Yeah. So I would something I'll throw out, a little call to action for everybody. You've listened to this. If you like the conversation, obviously we want topics to chat about, but we want topics that are going to be interesting to you, right? So we're men of faith, that we're leaders, that we're hyper successful. We're all dads, we've all been married, like we've all gone through things. So shoot messages to JP. Let him know some of the questions that you would like the leadership team to answer. It could be from a fitness standpoint. It could be from a health standpoint. It could be from a fathership standpoint. It could be from fatherhood and leadership. It could be from spiritual. Shoot them some messages so that we can sit back down and answer the questions that you guys want answered so that we can add value to you.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. Me and JP can sit here and talk for hours, but we want it to be relevant to something that is it's gonna spark something in you guys so that you want to go out and do something that betters your life.
100%. Well, I appreciate that. But for sure, guys, if there's anything that we can serve you better, just let us know. But Nick, where they can find you? Please tell us your Instagram name.
Oh my God. So yeah, my Instagram name is Baby Hulk with 2 Ks. No, I'm not a baby. I'm 41 years old. It is an old nickname. So you can find me Baby Hulk with 2 Ks. That's probably the easiest way to find me. You can also reach me at 443-528-1738. And no, I don't mind giving you my number. Text me with whatever questions you have. Or if you have any questions that are a little bit longer form, you can send them to nick@riseathleticperformance.com. I'm here to serve, guys. So, obviously do your best to keep it positive. But I welcome any type of questions, comments, concerns, feedback that you guys have. That way we can help better serve you.
Awesome. Love it.